Hi everyone, I'm attorney Poonam Minhas. I practice U.S. immigration law all over the United States. Today, let's talk about the policy memorandum that USCIS released on May 22nd, 2026, which focuses on adjustment of status in the United States. When this memorandum was released on May 22nd, 2026, it created a lot of chaos, panic, confusion, and a lot of people were wondering, wait, does this mean that adjustment of status in the United States is over? No, it does not mean that. Just for your purposes and to make things easier, if you go to the description section, I have the link there for you to click and review the memorandum yourself. It's 6 pages. You can read it. If there's some things in there you don't understand, it's probably related to the case law that they cited. But anyways, to jump back into what it really means and how does it impact you or someone you know, we're going to cover that. So look, adjustment of status has always been discretionary. What does that mean? Well, every case is handled differently. All the facts of the case are different. Usually every case has different factors, and each officer is supposed to view each case on a case-by-case basis. So right now, this memorandum, the way I read it, is a guidance to the USCIS officer like, hey, look, you need to scrutinize things like visa violations, overstays, intent issues. And these are things I've always spoke about, right? This is nothing new. They have been doing this. It's just that now they are giving USCIS officers certain questions framed to kind of be issued as a guidance through this memorandum. And look, this policy memorandum could be challenged. So we could be having a different conversation few days, few weeks, or few months from now. But what it doesn't do, it doesn't change the law. All right. The law says what it says about adjustment of status. And we all know that if you are married to a U.S. citizen and you came here lawfully, there are certain things that under the law could be waived and not cause a problem, like unauthorized employment, things like the overstay. And a lot of people in the past have successfully gotten their green cards based on those issues. But what this is pretty much saying now is, hey, officer, now you need to scrutinize and really look at these issues and weigh the positive factors with the negative factors. So what they're really doing is looking at this entire matter and your case as a totality of the circumstances. They're looking at each and everything. And of course, that shouldn't stop them from also reviewing your entire alien file or your background, your immigration history, because they're going to dig in deep about that as well. How did you come here? Why did you overstay? Or why was the purpose of your visa to do a change of status and not go back to your country? Why aren't you going back to your country after this visa is going to be done and start your process over there? So these are things that you need to consider before going to your interview if you have one scheduled. And if you're unsure and you think like, you know what, I need to do like a mock preparation, or I need to take an attorney with me, the best time to do it is in advance, because you just never know what you're going to face. And look, I'll also give you examples. Like I wanted to wait a few days even after this policy memorandum was released to give you actual examples of what's happening nationwide through my personal experience and also with my colleagues to see what has been happening in different field offices and what USCIS officers are doing or not doing. Okay, so I will definitely cover that today as well. A couple of other alarming matters that I saw in this policy memo. By the way, you can go into the description section. I have the link there if you want to read it yourself. It's 6 pages if you haven't already read it. Do take a look at it. But it does mention things like, hey, by the way, if you filed adjustment of status before the I-94 expired, that doesn't mean that we're going to hold that in a positive way. That could weigh on your negative side. And also things like, Maintaining status doesn't guarantee an approval to a green card. So what does that mean? I'll give you an example of that just on the top of my head. It's like if you came here on a tourist visa, okay, and then you decided I'm going to change my status to something else, like for example, maybe a student status, and you're able to successfully get that, or student to H-1B, whatever it is, you're able to successfully get it, and you're in the United States legally, lawfully, on that visa. So what they're saying is if you were to get married or you're eligible for adjustment of status and you file for it, just because you're in that legal lawful status, it doesn't guarantee you the green card. So that's what they're pretty much saying in this memorandum, along with other matters, like I was saying earlier, about weighing the positive factors with the negative, looking at everything with the totality of the circumstances approach, really digging into your immigration background, your history, any status violations, have you been to the United States before, intent. So these things are, definitely going to be there if there is guidance given to these USCIS officers on how to conduct interviews going forward following this memorandum. I know one of the questions going on in your head is, what can I expect? So let's just say hypothetically you had your interview. You may be asked certain questions surrounding intent. Why can't you consular process? Why did you decide to do adjustment of status, and other matters? Or if those questions are not asked, it could be possible that they may issue a request for evidence or notice of intent to deny. If there's some factors they're looking at where they feel that you are going to become someone that's a public charge and you're going to need governmental assistance, they're going to ask you probably in an RFE or a notice of intent to deny to prove how that's not going to happen in your case and why they should give you the green card. They're really looking for positive equities, so you could expect that. You could also expect maybe an I-130 getting approved, but the officer might wait longer, 120 days or even more, to make a decision on the adjustment of status. I don't want to be the person with the bad news, but let's just say hypothetically the adjustment of status gets denied. There could be chances of you receiving a notice to appear, and your case could end up in removal proceedings. And I'm specifically talking about beneficiaries. Certain people, depending on the circumstances, could appeal or could instantly refile. It really depends, right? So strategy is definitely recommended with an experienced immigration attorney to see what your options are going forward if you are in a situation where you received a denial. I mean, if you get approved, great, fantastic. You're on your way to getting a green card. But if you see a lot of pushback based on this memo, those are the things that you could potentially expect. And like I said, things could change. This matter could be litigated and we could be having another conversation that isn't the same. So that's just something to look out for. So based on personal experience and based on what my colleagues have told me, and again, like I said, I wanted to wait after Memorial Day when we have our feet wet and really see what's going on in different field offices. So this is things that are happening nationwide, and it's not all consistent, meaning it's not the same everywhere. So in certain offices, officers are saying, well, adjustment of status is on pause, so we are not going to issue a decision right now. Certain officers are not even questioning anything related to the memorandum, nor mentioning it. Some of them are confused themselves and they're like, we don't know. We need to wait for guidance on this. We don't know anything about it. Some officers are saying, well, these are the questions that they want us to ask, so we're going to ask you. And they're giving specific instructions at the interview and covering things, like I said earlier, about why couldn't you consular process? Why did you decide to do adjustment of status? Why can't you go right now and consular process? What's stopping you from doing that? And many more questions. There's also instances where if, let's just say hypothetically, those questions are not being asked at the interview, like I said, if the memo is not even mentioned, then almost as early as the next morning, individuals are getting requests for evidence, specifically asking you to answer those questions and also asking for matters which they feel are problematic for them and they want answers to like a discretionary negative factor they found in your case, that how you're going to approach it and what you're going to answer. So that RFE response has to be in before the deadline, of course, and then they would make their decision. Some officers are saying, well, we're going to approve the I-130 today, but we really can't make a decision on the adjustment of status because it has to go through a supervisor or director or somebody. So we cannot issue a decision on the adjustment of status. So these are things that are happening nationwide. Things could change. Hopefully there's more positive than negative, but this is as new as it is to everyone. It's also new for the USCIS officers. But like I've said before, this is not something that's very, very new because adjustment of status has been discretionary. There have been similar questions that were asked under President Trump when he took office the first time. So that's just my personal experience based on what I've seen. So I wanted to share that with you. I do want to say this is not impacting individuals who already have their green cards. So unless you're one of those individuals where the government is seeking to reopen your case, as they've said that we are going into the time frame of 2021 to 2024 to relook into your matters and reopen them and call you back for an interview, which I do have a different topic on this. If you want to check it out, the link is in the description section. I do talk about this as well. That's one of the things that they spoke about in a different policy. So unless you're in that situation, I don't see this impacting anybody who already have a green card, but I am seeing that this could impact individuals who have adjustment of statuses already pending even before the release of this memorandum. So they are facing interviews that are coming up with these type of questions or RFEs coming in before USCIS makes these decisions. So again, I just want to say thank you so much for watching, today's content. I hope this was helpful. I will be back with more updates, more things I can find, more personal experiences, and anything I can share from like consultations or my colleagues that may help everybody. And that's the whole purpose of this. So listen, if you haven't subscribed, come on, subscribe, hit that like button, share this with your friends and family. This is not the time to panic. This is the time to get smart and really have everything kind of like mapped out and planned before you do anything. So if you haven't done anything yet, talk to a trusted attorney who really knows what they're doing and get yourself ready for what's about to come. If you're already in the process and you feel like, I don't have an attorney, I'm doing this pro se, get somebody at this point. You don't want to wait till the last minute because that could be to your detriment. That could be a negative thing. And if you are confident that you can handle this pro se, cool, best of luck to you. But do keep yourself updated on any changes in the policy and the guidance that USCIS comes out with, or Department of Homeland Security or Department of Justice. There's a lot of players in this, so you want to make sure you know what's going on. Listen, don't panic. Just stay informed, and I really, really hope this video helped today. And I'll see you soon. So make sure to subscribe, and I'll be back.